It's time to put the record straight with this class bullshit. And I'll start by telling you how I became a lefty. Because when I was a teenager, an older teenager, and around the period that I first left school and joined the Navy, I was a shallow racist, patriotic, God save the Queen, Britain's great, all the rest of it. I joined the Navy, and in that 3-year period that I was in the Navy, I became a left-winger. It was a strange experience. It wasn't something that I expected, and I doubt that the Navy had that in mind. But strange things happen at sea. And this is how it happened. And by the way, I didn't read any books, not on that subject. I didn't speak to any left groups or any representatives of any political parties. And I didn't speak to any trendy students on campus. How it happened and how I completely U-turned is because of what I experienced directly. And what I experienced directly is the officer class. Okay, the way that they spoke to you, looked down their nose at you, looked at you with contempt, and treated you like a low-class citizen. It was disgusting. It got right underneath my skin, and I despised it from day one, from the get-go. You'd open the red and white barrier when I was on guard duty on a shore base. You could see the wives looking down their noses at you. Once I was lifting up the red and white barrier, I was at a strange angle like this. An officer was walking past on foot. I gave a clumsy salute. He came over to me with his posh middle-class accent and said, "Stand to attention." So I had to do. He said, "Now salute." So I had to do. He said, "Now that is how you salute an officer." I fucking hated them with an intensity that most people can't fucking imagine. Well, I suspect a lot of people out there would imagine, frankly. It struck me as being pretty absurd that I'm wearing the Queen's uniform and yet the Queen would throw up at the thought of inviting me in for a cup of tea. It struck me as absurd that the officer class, it's a crime, a military breach of discipline if they have a relationship with a non-officer. You could argue there's disciplinary issues, but there is obviously institutional snobbery in that. You know, I'm expected to potentially go to war and kill primarily males, young men, working class men from another country because some posh bastard tells me to. I'm not a mug. And I decided that is bullshit. I'm not into that. So I went on the run and I got out. I did a tiny little bit of time in a naval detention quarters and I got booted out, which is precisely what I wanted. That's how it happened. So this issue that I've been going on about, and this issue of class, is this. Let's not beat about the bush. My class, my people, the people I went to school with, the people I was in the Navy with, the people I grew up with on the estate Preston Road in Hull, are they in the left? No, they're not. And the contempt, the vicious, unforgivable contempt and rhetoric that is used by a lot of liberals and people on the left is disgusting and unacceptable. I've had it up to my fucking eyeballs. And I'll tell you something else as well. Recently, a very similar sensation has developed. And I haven't felt this since I was in the Navy. It's the same. It's the same kind of anger that I first felt that made me completely U-turn the kind of bullshit that I previously believed. It was aimed at the officer class. And the way that I feel to about 80, potentially 90% of the left is exactly how I felt then. It is a sense of fucking anger and outrage at the backwardness, the ineffectualness. You're just not up to spec, you're not fit for purpose, and it's disgusting and unforgivable that you can't even understand the basic shit that is happening to my people right now. We're dying in the street. We're fucking going insane. We're living in extreme poverty, extreme social isolation, marginalisation. It's a fucking nightmare out there. The fact that you don't organically understand that and represent that and scream about that is unforgivable. I'm losing all faith that you people will ever be able to do anything to solve our problems. And this stereotyping, if you stereotyped black people like you stereotype working class people, and we all know what working class means, by the way, that's why the left has stopped using it until quite recently. Ordinary working people, ordinary people. Fuck that, working class people, people on estates. All right, people going through the fucking worst kinds of life experiences and barely holding on to their sanity and sometimes losing it. It's a disgrace that you can't fucking talk the language of fucking normal human beings. It's unacceptable. Most of you know that I'm in recovery. I had an alcohol problem that got completely out of hand. I owe my sobriety, and I owe the fact that I can now do the things that I want to do as a community activist properly and efficiently to a bunch of chavs, to a bunch of working class scumbags, to a bunch of people who spent half their lives in and out of prison. I've said this to a few people who've heard me say it, who completely turned their lives around. Some of the most inspirational people I've ever met. All right? I was a part of that community, a working class, peer-led community at the Quality of Life Service, which got downsized and closed. Not a goddamn thing said about it by the local left. Not a trendy issue, of course. You don't give a fuck. All right? The things that I saw in there were incredibly inspiring. All right? And you see those people who were ignored, left behind, not included, organising themselves with dignity and imagination and intelligence. That was life-changing. It blew my fucking mind that that was real. This is what needs to be threaded into the left. All right? And this bullshit, by the way, about the EU. Fucking hell. Come on, wake up, man. Wake up. It's a capitalist institution. It's a capitalist institution that one of many things that it does is force through competitive tendering. That's what it does. It's fucking neoliberalism. Why should fucking working class people believe in that fucking bullshit? You liberal fucking lunatics. You need to start waking up. You need to start fucking grasping these issues, because I'll give you a little forecast. Working class people aren't stupid. All right? If you can't communicate with them and get them involved, then you're not fit for purpose. It's unfucking forgivable. All right? And quite frankly, if you want to throw around those insults, say it to my face. All right? Say it in front of me. All right? Because at the age that I'm at now, and having gone through what I've gone through, I'm not going to risk getting into trouble with the police or anything stupid like that. But I would have no fucking moral obligations about putting you straight on your fucking arse. This isn't a joke. I've had it. It's game over. If you can't wake up, get up to spec as the left, then I'll tell you something. There is going to be a tsunami, and you'll end up being dealt with. You will be completely unfit for purpose, and you will lose. Wake up and smell a coffee. You're pathetic.